There is a certain kind of person who seems almost impossible to shake. Someone insults them, and they don't flinch. A plan falls apart, and they don't panic. The whole room is tense, anxious, waiting for a reaction, and they just sit there, calm, almost amused, like none of it can touch them. And here is the strange part. Most people assume that person doesn't care, that they're cold, detached, maybe even a little arrogant. But the truth is the exact opposite. The people who are truly unbothered are not the ones who feel the least. They are often the ones who once felt everything, too much, too deeply, and then learned a secret that the rest of us were never taught. Because being unbothered is not about having a thick skin. It's not about pretending nothing hurts. And it is definitely not about not caring. It's about something the Japanese have understood for centuries, a single inner shift that changes the way the world is allowed to affect you. And if you're the kind of person who replays a conversation in your head hours after it ended, who carries one rude comment around for 3 days, who feels the mood of every room you walk into, then I need you to stay with me, because this was made for you. Today we are going to decode the secret Japanese habit that makes a person almost untouchable. Not numb, not cold, unbothered. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to build it inside yourself. But first we have to understand the real problem. Why do some people get knocked off balance by the smallest things, while others stay steady through a storm? It's not about strength. It's about something psychologists call emotional reactivity. How quickly and how strongly your inner world reacts to the outer world. For some people, this reactivity is turned up high. A neutral text message feels like a threat. A delayed reply feels like rejection. A coworker's bad mood becomes their bad mood. Their nervous system treats every small social ripple like a wave crashing over them. And usually this starts early. Picture a child who grew up in a home where they had to constantly read the room, where one wrong word could change everything. That child learns to attach enormous meaning to tiny signals, a tone of voice, a look, a silence. That child grows up into an adult whose inner peace is permanently outsourced, handed over to other people's moods, opinions, and reactions. They don't control their own emotional weather anymore. Everyone else does. Now, here's what's important. This is not a flaw. It's a survival adaptation. A sensitive, scanning mind kept them safe once. But in adult life, that same mind becomes a kind of prison. Every person they meet holds a key to their peace. The Japanese concept we're about to explore is the exact opposite of that prison. It's a way of taking the key back, of becoming the one person in your life who decides how you feel. Let's begin with the heart of it. The first and most important concept is called Fudoshin, Budong-shin. It translates roughly to the immovable mind, or the unmoving heart. It comes from the world of Japanese martial arts and Zen, and it does not mean being a stone. It does not mean feeling nothing. Fudoshin is the quality of a master swordsman who stands in front of a charging opponent and feels the fear, sees the danger, registers everything, and yet his center does not move. Think about that. The fear is allowed to exist. The threat is real, but it does not reach the core. It washes over the surface like wind over a mountain, and the mountain simply remains. Most of us live the opposite way. We are the weather. When someone praises us, we rise. When someone criticizes us, we collapse. Our entire sense of self goes up and down based on the last thing somebody said to us. We're not a mountain, we're a leaf in the wind. Here's a real example. Someone leaves you a cold, dismissive reply. The person without Fudoshin reads it 10 times, analyzes the punctuation, builds an entire story about what it means, who they are, what they did wrong. Their whole afternoon is gone. The person with Fudoshin notices the same coldness. They feel the small sting. They're not pretending. But then something different happens. They simply observe it. That landed is cold. Interesting. And their center doesn't move. The comment stays on the surface. It never gets to drive the car. How do you begin to build Fudoshin? It starts with a single realization. There is a gap between what happens to you and how you respond. Most people have collapsed that gap to 0. Stimulus and reaction are glued together. The work is to slowly pry them apart, to create 1 second of space between the insult and your reaction, because in that 1 second lives all of your freedom. And once you understand the immovable mind, the next concept teaches you how to actually create that gap. The second concept is Mushin, Wu-sin, literally, no mind. Now, no mind sounds like emptiness, but it's not. Mushin is the state where your mind is so clear, so present that it doesn't get caught. Thoughts and emotions still arrive, but they don't stick. They pass through. Here's the key insight most people miss. You are not bothered by what happens to you. You are bothered by the story your mind attaches to what happens. Someone doesn't text back. That's the event. That's neutral. Then the mind grabs it. They're ignoring me. They don't respect me. I always get treated like this. That story, not the silence, is what ruins your day. The silence was nothing. The story was everything. Mushin is the practice of letting the event happen without immediately grabbing it and building a narrative around it, of watching the thought arise. They're ignoring me, and recognizing it as just a thought passing through, not a fact about the world. There's a famous image for this. Your mind is like the sky, and your thoughts and emotions are clouds. The untrained person believes they are the clouds. They're swept along with every passing storm. The person with Mushin remembers they are the sky. The clouds come, the clouds go, and the sky is never harmed by any of them. When someone tries to provoke you, an insult, a dig, a passive-aggressive comment, what they're really doing is handing you a cloud and hoping you'll mistake it for the whole sky. The unbothered person takes one look and thinks, that's just a cloud, and lets it drift past. The practice here is almost embarrassingly simple. When something stings, instead of feeding the story, you name what's actually happening. A thought has appeared. A feeling has appeared. You don't fight it. You don't follow it. You just let it move through. And slowly, your mind stops being a hook that catches everything and starts being a sky that lets everything pass. But there's a deeper reason people get so bothered in the first place. And the third concept addresses it directly. The third concept might be the most healing of all. It's called Kintsugi, Jinjigi, the art of golden repair. In Japan, when a precious bowl breaks, they don't throw it away, and they don't hide the cracks. Instead, they repair it with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The breaks are filled with gold. The damage is not concealed. It's highlighted. And the bowl becomes more beautiful and more valuable than it ever was before it broke. Now, why does this matter for being unbothered? Because here's the truth. The reason most people are so easily wounded by others is that they're desperately trying to appear unbroken. They've built a perfect image, and every criticism is a threat to that image, so they defend it constantly. Every comment that suggests they're flawed or wrong or not enough feels like an attack on the whole structure, because deep down they're terrified someone will find the cracks. The person who lives by Kintsugi has stopped hiding their cracks. They've made peace with the fact that they are flawed, that they've been hurt, that they've failed, and that none of it makes them less. In fact, it's made them who they are. And here's what happens when you do that. You become almost impossible to insult, because what is an insult? It's someone pointing at a crack and saying, "Look, there's a crack." And you simply say, "Yes, I know, that one's filled with gold." You cannot wound a person who has already accepted their own wounds. There's nothing left to expose. The thing they were afraid you'd discover, they've already shown the world themselves and turned it gold. This is why the most unbothered people are so often the ones who have been through the most. They've already broken. They've already survived it. And on the other side of that, they found something most people never reach, the freedom of having nothing left to hide. So the practice of Kintsugi is this. Stop curating the perfect version of yourself. The flaw you're most afraid of people seeing, acknowledge it first, openly, to yourself. The crack you fill with gold can never again be used against you. And once you've made peace with your own breaks, the fourth concept softens the way you hold on to everything else. The fourth concept is mono no aware, wu no I re. It's a gentle, almost untranslatable idea. It means something like the bittersweet awareness that all things pass. The cherry blossom is the perfect symbol of it. In Japan, the blossoms are loved most precisely because they only last a few days. Their beauty is inseparable from the fact that they fade. If they lasted forever, they'd mean nothing. Here's how this makes you unbothered. So much of our suffering comes from clutching. We grab onto how things should be. This person should respect me. This plan should work. This moment should go the way I pictured. And when reality doesn't match the grip, we suffer. Not because of what happened, but because of how tightly we were holding. Mono no aware teaches a softer grip on everything. People will disappoint you because people are temporary and changing. Plans will dissolve. Moods will shift. The rude stranger today will be gone from your life forever in 5 minutes. The argument that feels enormous now will be invisible in a year. When you truly absorb that everything is passing, every insult, every awkward moment, every person's bad mood, it becomes very hard to be deeply bothered by any single thing. You start to hold life the way you'd hold a cherry blossom, gently, knowing it's already on its way out. The practice is to ask one question when something upsets you. Will this matter in a year? Almost always, the honest answer is no. And in that no, the grip loosens, and the thing that was crushing you a moment ago turns out to be just another blossom, already falling. So how do you take these 4 concepts and actually become this person? Because understanding is not the same as living it. The people who genuinely become unbothered tend to build it through 3 small, repeatable practices. First, the 1-second gap. This is Fudoshin in action. The next time something stings, a comment, a tone, a look, do nothing for 1 second. Just notice the sting and breathe once before you react. That single second of space is where an unbothered person actually lives. You're not suppressing the feeling. You're just refusing to let it grab the wheel. Second, separate the event from the story. This is Mushin. When you feel yourself spiraling, stop and ask, what actually happened? Strip it down to the bare facts. They didn't reply. Not, they hate me. Watch how much of your pain was never in the event at all. It was in the story you wrapped around it. Third, show your own cracks first. This is Kintsugi. Stop performing the flawless version of yourself. When you stop hiding what you're afraid of, no one can use it against you. The most unbothered people are radically, quietly honest about their own flaws. And that honesty is a kind of armor nothing can pierce. And underneath all 3, you carry no-aware like a quiet background hum. This too is passing. This person, this moment, this feeling, all of it, already on its way out. Now I want to be very clear about something, because this is where people get it wrong. Being unbothered does not mean being numb. It does not mean you stop loving people or stop caring about your work or float through life pretending nothing matters. That's not strength. That's just hiding. The truly unbothered person feels more, not less. They feel the sting of the insult. They just don't let it govern them. They feel the disappointment. They just hold it gently. They feel everything the sensitive person feels. The only difference is this: their peace belongs to them. It is no longer for sale to every passing mood and opinion. That is the real secret the Japanese understood. You will never control what the world does to you. People will be rude. Plans will collapse. Moods will turn. You cannot stop the wind, but you can become the mountain. You can let the storms wash over the surface while your center stays exactly where it is. You can fill your cracks with gold so there's nothing left to expose. You can let each moment fall like a blossom instead of clutching it until it cuts your hand. And when you do, you stop being a leaf in everyone else's weather. You become the one steady thing in the room, the person nothing seems to touch, not because you stopped feeling, but because you finally stopped handing the key to your peace to everyone but yourself. If you saw yourself somewhere in this video, if you're tired of carrying every comment, every mood, every silence around with you, tell me in the comments which of the 4 concepts you needed to hear most. Fudoshin, Mushin, Kintsugi, or Mono no Aware. I read them. And if this gave you even one moment of relief, one new way to see yourself, please like the video and share it with someone who needs to take their peace back too. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And remember, the storm was never the problem. It was only ever about whether you let it move the mountain. See you in the next one.